The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the massive viewscreen flickered to life. Thousands of representatives from across the Milky Way collectively held their breath, some literally, others metaphorically, as the silhouette of the human vessel emerged from the quantum fold. Counselor Tazaric, the ancient Pleiadian diplomat whose 6 eyes had witnessed centuries of interstellar politics, felt his primary heart stutter in his chest. "Magnificent," whispered Ambassador Vrel of the Cygnus Collective, her crystalline exoskeleton chiming softly with each trembling movement. "And terrifying." The human battleship, if one could even call it something so primitive, dwarfed the escort vessels surrounding it. Its hull was a patchwork of metals, unknown to many of the Council species, harvested from worlds that had only recently appeared in galactic star charts. Massive weapon arrays dotted its surface like sleeping predators, currently dormant but promising apocalyptic destruction if awakened. Captain Elias Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, shoulders squared beneath the weight of humanity's future. The invitation to attend the Galactic Council had come as a surprise. Humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago, a mere eye blink in cosmic terms. Most species weren't granted observer status for at least a century after first contact. "They're scanning us," Lieutenant Rivera reported from her station, fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Standard protocol, but intensive. They're particularly interested in our hawking drives." Chen nodded. "Let them look. We have nothing to hide." It wasn't entirely true. The secret compartments containing Earth's most advanced weaponry were shielded from conventional scans, but the statement helped calm his nerves. First impressions mattered, especially when humanity was the newcomer to a community of ancient civilizations. "Sir," Communications Officer Harper called out, "we're receiving transmission from the Council Arbiter. They're requesting we power down our primary systems before approach." Chen's jaw tightened. Standard procedure for visitors, perhaps, but it would leave the Defiance vulnerable. Earth's united government had been explicit. Show strength, not aggression. Demonstrate capability, not threat. Inform the Arbiter that we'll reduce power to navigation and defensive systems to minimum operational levels, Chen replied. Emphasize our peaceful intentions, but maintain that full shutdown contradicts our security protocols. In the Council chamber, the response set off a flurry of agitated discussions. Grand Arbiter Xolan, whose gelatinous form pulsed with bioluminescent patterns expressing complex emotions, raised 3 upper appendages to restore order. "The humans decline our safety protocols," the Arbiter's translation matrix conveyed to the assembled delegates. "This is unprecedented." Senior Counselor Drafvac, representative of the militaristic Arcturus hegemony, rose from his seat. 6 mechanical limbs extended from his battle-scarred torso, a reminder of the last great interstellar conflict that had ended 2 centuries ago. "I warned this council when we first detected their primitive radio signals," he growled, voice modulator emphasizing each syllable. "These humans evolved on a death world. Their biology requires them to sleep, to willingly become unconscious, on a planet filled with predators. They developed space travel before they unified their own species. They still carry evolutionary adaptations for persistence hunting." He gestured toward the viewscreen. "And now they bring a warship to our doorstep and refuse our most basic security measures." Ambassador Lilith of the Proxima Diplomatic Corps, physically the most similar to humans among the Council species, stood in response. Her 4 arms remained still in the formal posture of reasoned debate. "With respect, Counselor, the humans have reduced power as a compromise. Their caution is understandable for a young species. Remember, they have fought no interstellar wars. Their conflicts have been limited to their own world. Their history shows both terrible violence and remarkable compassion." On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Chen received another transmission. This one made his blood run cold. "Sir," Harper said, voice lower than before, "we're detecting anomalous energy signatures from the Council Station's defensive arrays. They're powering weapons." Chen's mind raced. Was this a test? A trap? Or simply standard procedure they hadn't been briefed on? Humanity's first official contact with the galactic community couldn't end in bloodshed, but neither could he risk his ship and crew. Tactical analysis, he ordered calmly. Lieutenant Commander Zhao responded immediately. Their weapons are impressive but dated by our standards, Captain. If they fire, we can activate countermeasures without returning fire. The Hawking shields will hold. And if they don't? Chen asked. Zhao's expression remained professional, but her eyes betrayed the gravity of the situation. Then we show them why humans developed weapons in the first place. In the council chamber, the energy spike had not gone unnoticed. Several delegates were demanding explanations, while others were calling for immediate defensive measures. Arbiter Xolan's form pulsed with urgent patterns. The defensive grid activation was not authorized. Who has accessed the systems? Drafthak stood silent, his mechanical limbs unnaturally still. Across the chamber, the vegan technocracy's representative was conspicuously absent from her seat. Ambassador Lilith stepped forward. The humans aren't responding to the provocation. Their shields are up, but weapons remain cold. She turned to face the massive view screen. They're waiting. The revelation rippled through the chamber. A species known for its impulsiveness, its emotional reactions, its historically trigger-happy approach to conflict, was showing restraint when provoked. The human vessel is hailing us, announced a council technician. On screen, Arbiter Xolan commanded. Captain Chen's face appeared before the assembled representatives of thousands of worlds. His expression was calm, his posture relaxed despite the tension evident in the set of his shoulders. Greetings, Galactic Council. I notice your defensive systems have been activated. Is there a threat I should be aware of, or is this standard welcome protocol? The United Earth government instructed me to extend peaceful greetings, but also to protect my vessel and crew. I prefer to accomplish both objectives today. The chamber fell silent once more. In that moment, the council realized they weren't facing barbarians or conquerors. They were facing something far more interesting, and potentially far more dangerous. Humans. Arbiter Xolan's bioluminescent patterns shifted rapidly, displaying what humans might interpret as embarrassment, if they could read Solonian emotional signaling. The gelatinous diplomat extended 2 reconciliatory appendages toward the viewscreen. Captain Chen, this is most irregular. The defensive grid activation was unauthorized and is being investigated as we speak. The translation matrix conveyed Xolan's harmonics with mechanical precision. We apologize for this misunderstanding. Chen maintained his diplomatic posture, but his eyes scanned the faces of the assembled delegates, searching for reactions. 15 years of interspecies contact had taught humanity an important lesson. Body language existed across the galaxy, even when bodies took radically different forms. I accept your apology, Arbiter, Chen replied, allowing a slight smile. Perhaps we can proceed with the scheduled docking procedures. Before Xolan could respond, Councillor Drafthak stepped forward, his battle-scarred frame commanding attention. I object. The human vessel remains combat-capable. Our protocols exist for the safety of all council members. His mechanical limbs extended to their full height. The fact that they demonstrated restraint is commendable but insufficient. Lieutenant Rivera leaned toward Chen, keeping her voice low. Captain, I'm picking up unusual communications between the Arcturus representative and 3 vessels on the outer perimeter. They're masking their signatures, but they're definitely military. Chen nodded almost imperceptibly. First contact scenarios were always delicate, but this was developing into something more complex, potentially more dangerous, than anyone at Earth Command had anticipated. Arbiter, Chen addressed the council again. In the interest of transparency, I should inform you that we've detected additional military vessels beyond your security perimeter. If this meeting requires more extensive protection than we were informed of, we're happy to coordinate with your security forces. The revelation sent ripples of confusion through the council chamber. Multiple delegates began urgent discussions with their staff, while others directed accusatory gestures toward Dravfak. Ambassador Lilith stepped closer to the Arbiter, her four arms now moving in the patterns of serious concern. Those vessels aren't part of Council security. The Arcturus hegemony has been lobbying against human inclusion for years, ever since their mining expedition to Sol's Kuiper Belt encountered human patrols. An incident we resolved diplomatically, Chen added, having caught Lilith's words through the open channel. Though I understand why having your harvesters turned away from our home system might create lingering tensions. Dravfak's mechanical limbs contracted in what witnesses recognized as anger. Your species claims territorial rights to an entire star system when you've barely escaped your own gravity well. The resources of your outer planets would have gone unused for millennia. That's not your determination to make, Chen replied calmly. Earth's resource expansion program has clear timelines. We don't claim what we can't reach, but we won't surrender what belongs to our children's future. The Grand Arbiter's form pulsed with authoritative patterns. This diplomatic session is becoming unproductive. Captain Chen, please proceed with docking. Counselor Dravfak, you will explain the unauthorized vessels immediately. This council has not sanctioned any military presence beyond our standard security complement. On the bridge of the Defiance, Lieutenant Commander Zhao approached Chen with a data tablet. Captain, we've completed our analysis of the station's defenses. There's something you should see. She handed him the device, her expression grave. Chen studied the display, his experienced eyes quickly identifying the anomaly. These aren't standard defense configurations. Some of these emplacements are positioned for internal targeting. Yes, sir, Zhao confirmed. If those weapons fired, they wouldn't just hit us. They'd cause catastrophic damage to sections of the Council station itself. Harper called from her communication station. Captain, I'm picking up irregular data transmissions throughout the Council network. Someone's introducing a systems override. Chen's mind raced. This wasn't just about humanity's introduction to galactic politics anymore. This was potentially something far worse. A coup? An assassination attempt using the human arrival as cover? Or was the Defiance itself the target, with the Council as collateral damage? Lieutenant Rivera, initiate protocol safeguard, Chen ordered. Inform Earth Command of our situation, but maintain communications blackout afterward. Harper, open a private channel to Ambassador Lilith if possible. In the Council chamber, confusion was giving way to alarm. Several security officers had entered, surrounding Dravfak, whose mechanical limbs were now raising defensive shields around his organic components. The Arcturus hegemony rejects these accusations, he announced. We are merely ensuring proper security measures in the face of an unknown military power's arrival. Ambassador Lilith received Chen's private communication through her neural implant, careful to maintain her diplomatic composure as the message transferred. Council security has been compromised, Chen's voice informed her. Weapons are positioned to cause internal damage. We believe this was timed to coincide with our arrival, either to provoke us into firing, or to eliminate key council members while blaming humanity. Lilith's four arms moved subtly, acknowledging the message without betraying its receipt to observers. She approached the Arbiter with deliberate calm. Grand Arbiter, she said softly, I recommend an immediate security protocol review. My sources suggest irregularities in several systems. Before Zolan could respond, the station lights flickered. The massive view screen showing the Defiance split into multiple displays, each showing different sections of the Council station, where security personnel were now engaged in confrontations with what appeared to be maintenance workers. The station is being seized, announced a Council security officer, rushing to the chamber's central podium. Multiple infiltrators have been identified in critical systems areas. Counselor Tazarek rose from his seat, his ancient voice carrying unexpected authority. This is the work of the Silence Directive. They've opposed peaceful integration of new species since the Proxima Accords. On the Defiance, Chen watched the chaos unfolding in the Council chamber. Zhao, What's the status of those external vessels? Moving into attack positions, sir. They're targeting both us and the Council Station's life support sectors. Chen's decision came without hesitation. Bring all systems to full power. Activate Hawking shields and extend their coverage to encompass the Council Station's vulnerable sections. Weapons on standby, but target solutions ready. The human battleship suddenly blazed with energy as dormant systems surged to life. Massive shield emitters deployed from previously hidden compartments, generating a protective field that expanded well beyond the vessel's hull. In the council chamber, delegates watched in astonishment as a translucent blue barrier manifested around their station's most critical areas, just as the first salvos from the attacking ship struck. Energy weapons that would have vaporized entire sections of the station instead dissipated harmlessly against the human shields. "Impossible," whispered Drafak, his mechanical limbs freezing in shock. "Their defensive technology surpasses our offensive capabilities by at least 2 technological epochs." The Defiance moved with surprising agility for its size, positioning itself between the attackers and the station. When it finally spoke again, Chen's voice carried throughout the council chamber, calm but resolute. "This is Captain Elias Chen of the United Earth ship Defiance. We came here in peace, but we are fully prepared to defend ourselves and the Galactic Council against this unprovoked attack. To the vessels currently firing, stand down immediately, or we will be forced to demonstrate more than just our defensive capabilities." The attacking ships hesitated, clearly unprepared for this development. In that moment of uncertainty, with the human battleship standing between them and their prey, the entire Galactic Council witnessed something they had never expected. A young species from a backwater planet, stepping into a conflict not of their making, and changing the balance of power with their mere presence. The attacking vessels maintained their positions for 17 excruciating seconds, an eternity in space combat. Then, as if responding to some unseen signal, they broke formation and accelerated toward the Defiance from 3 different vectors. "They're attempting to find weaknesses in our shield configuration," Zhao reported, her fingers flying across tactical displays. "Standard Keplerian maneuvers. Nothing we haven't seen in simulations." Chen nodded, his expression betraying nothing of the gravity of the situation. Humanity's first official interaction with the Galactic Council was rapidly becoming a demonstration of Earth's military capabilities, precisely the scenario their diplomatic courts had hoped to avoid. "Maintain defensive posture," Chen ordered. "No offensive action unless directly threatened. Lieutenant Rivera, deploy countermeasure drones to protect the station's most vulnerable sections." A series of small hatches opened along the Defiance's hull, releasing dozens of autonomous drones that swarmed toward the Council Station. Unlike the massive battleship, these nimble craft could navigate the station's complex architecture, positioning themselves at critical junctures. In the council chamber, the delegates watched with a mixture of fear and fascination as the human technology deployed around them. The attackers' first volley had failed to penetrate the shields, but the second attack would be more coordinated, more precise. "We must evacuate critical personnel," Arbiter Solon announced, bioluminescent patterns flashing urgent warnings. "The human defenses may not hold against a sustained assault." Ambassador Lilith stepped forward. "With respect, Arbiter, I believe the evacuation routes have been compromised. The Silence Directive has been planning this for years. They have agents throughout the station." She turned toward the view screen showing Captain Chen. "Our best protection is right there." The attacking vessels launched their second assault, this time focusing all firepower on a single quadrant of the Defiance's extended shields. Energy weapons converged with missile barrages in a blinding display of destructive potential. On the bridge, warning indicators flashed as the shields absorbed unprecedented amounts of energy. The deck vibrated subtly beneath the crew's feet. "Shield integrity at 87% in Sector 4, reported Tactical Officer Karim. "The attack is more coordinated than expected. They're using frequencies designed to create harmonic resonances." Chen's eyes narrowed. "They've studied our technology, or at least made educated guesses about its limitations. He turned to communications. "Harper, broadcast on all frequencies. I want to address both the attackers and the Council." Harper nodded, establishing the connection. "Channel open, sir." Chen straightened, squaring his shoulders. "This is Captain Chen. To the attacking vessels. Your tactics indicate knowledge of Earth defense systems that shouldn't be possible given our limited interstellar presence. This suggests either remarkable technological intuition, or," he paused, letting the implication hang in space, "inside information. Either way, I'm instructed to inform you that the Defiance is not a typical Earth vessel, and you have severely underestimated our capabilities." In the council chamber, Counselor Tezarek's six eyes widened as he understood the human strategy. "He's creating doubt among the attackers," he whispered to Lilith. "Psychological warfare." The attacking vessels hesitated, their formation momentarily disrupted. Then they adjusted course again, this time moving to surround the Defiance completely. "Sir," Zhao reported, "they're positioning for a spherical assault. All shield quadrants will be under simultaneous attack." Chen nodded, his decision already made. "Execute Protocol Sunburst." The command activated systems that had remained completely dormant until now. Throughout the Defiance, previously invisible circuitry illuminated with a golden light that spread across the hull like living veins. The light intensified, building towards something the galaxy had never witnessed. In the council chamber, delegates gasped as the human vessel began to glow. Even Drafvac, still detained by security forces, stared in disbelief at the display. "What are they doing?" he demanded of no one in particular. "That energy signature doesn't match any known weapons system." Ambassador Lilith watched with an expression of wonder. "They're not just defending themselves," she realized aloud. "They're making a statement that the entire galaxy will remember." The attacking vessels launched their coordinated assault, energy weapons firing simultaneously from all directions. For a brief, terrible moment, the Defiance disappeared entirely within the blinding convergence of destructive force. Then, as the energy dissipated, the human vessel remained, untouched, its golden light now pulsing rhythmically. The shields hadn't just held, they had absorbed the attack completely. "Sir," Harper called out, her voice tight with urgency, "we're detecting power buildups in the attackers' drive systems. They appear to be preparing for emergency quantum jumps." Chen's expression hardened. "Not yet. Activate tractor systems. No one leaves until we understand exactly what's happening here." Invisible beams shot out from the Defiance, locking onto each attacking vessel with irresistible force. The would-be attackers found themselves suddenly immobilized, their escape routes cut off. On the largest attack ship, a commander stared at his tactical display in disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "Their technology. It can't be. Break free. Maximum power to thrusters." The commander of the lead attack vessel ordered, his voice cracking with panic. The ship's engines flared blindingly bright as they strained against the Defiance's invisible grip. Metal groaned and structural integrity warnings blared across their bridge as the tractor beams held firm. In the council chamber, an eerie silence had fallen. Hundreds of delegates from across the galaxy watched the confrontation unfold with collective breath held. The human vessel's display of power had transformed their understanding of this young species in mere moments. "The silence directive promised us the humans were primitive," Counselor Tezarek murmured, his ancient voice carrying in the quiet chamber. "They said Earth's technology was centuries behind our own." Ambassador Lilith's four arms moved in patterns of grave concern. "Someone has been feeding them false intelligence. The question is why." On the Defiance, Captain Chen studied the tactical display showing all three attacking vessels now immobilized. Their continued resistance strained his ship's systems, but not to any concerning degree. What troubled him was the larger question: who would benefit from provoking a conflict between humanity and the Galactic Council? "Sir," Lieutenant Rivera called out, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from within the Council station." specifically from the Central Data Archives. Chen's eyes narrowed. The attack was a distraction. "Captain," Harper interrupted. "Urgent transmission from Ambassador Lilith. Private channel." Chen nodded, accepting the communication. Lilith's voice came through with unmistakable urgency. "Captain Chen, our security teams have discovered infiltrators accessing the ancestral archives. These contain the collective knowledge of every Council species, including defensive systems, homeworld coordinates, and biological vulnerabilities." Chen understood immediately. They're using the chaos to steal intelligence that could threaten every species in the Council. "Correct. And our internal security has been compromised. We cannot stop them without—" Lilith hesitated before continuing, "without outside intervention." The implication was clear. The Council needed human help within their most sacred repository of knowledge. Such access had never been granted to a non-member species in the Council's 10,000-year history. Chen turned to his executive officer. "Commander Foster, prepare a tactical team. Non-lethal weapons only. We're going aboard the station." Foster nodded sharply. "Yes, sir." As the Defiance maintained its hold on the attacking vessels, a small shuttle detached from its ventral bay, accelerating toward the Council station's diplomatic docking port. Inside, 12 humans in lightweight combat armor checked their equipment one final time. "Remember," Foster addressed her team, "we're here to assist, not take control. Follow Council security protocols where possible, but your primary objective is securing the archives. These infiltrators cannot be allowed to leave with that data." In the Council chamber, debates had erupted between factions. Some demanded the humans be kept out of internal security matters, while others argued that the threat necessitated unprecedented measures. Arbiter Xolan's form pulsed with patterns of decision. The archives contain the collective wisdom and vulnerabilities of every species present. If the infiltrators obtain this information, no world will be safe. The translation matrix conveyed the weight of each word. "I am granting the humans temporary access. May the ancestors forgive this necessity." Throughout the station, the infiltrators moved with practiced efficiency. They wore the uniforms of Council maintenance workers, but moved with the precision of elite operatives. In the archive chamber, 6 of them worked at the central interface, downloading terabytes of classified information as alarms blared ineffectually around them. "Time?" asked their leader, a seemingly Proximan whose forearms moved with unnatural synchronization. 3 minutes until complete data extraction," responded one of his team. "Council security has been contained on levels 5 through 12. The leader nodded. "And the human vessel?" "Still engaged with our ships. The diversion is working." A sound at the chamber entrance made them all turn, weapons raised. The massive doors, designed to withstand orbital bombardment, remained sealed. Then, impossibly, the ventilation shaft above them crackled with energy. The reinforced grating melted away, and human figures dropped into the room with a grace that defied the station's artificial gravity. "Impossible," the leader whispered. "How did they?" Commander Foster straightened, flanked by her team. Their weapons, unlike anything the infiltrators had encountered, were aimed with unwavering precision. "By order of the Galactic Council and the United Earth Government," Foster announced, "you will step away from the archive interfaces. Now." The leader's false Proximan features contorted into something entirely different, something not recorded in any Council biological database. "You have no idea what forces you're interfering with, humans." His voice had changed too, becoming multitonal and grating. "We have studied your species for decades. You are violent, unpredictable, divided. You should not be here." Foster's expression remained impassive. And yet here we are. The standoff intensified as both sides assessed their options. The infiltrators outnumbered the humans, but the humans' technology was clearly beyond what they had anticipated. In the archive's enormous database, countless records spanning millennia of galactic history silently waited. And among them, recently accessed files containing details of an ancient threat, a threat that had once nearly wiped out all sentient life in the galaxy. A threat that, according to the records, was showing signs of returning. The archive chamber's emergency lights bathed everyone in an ominous red glow as Foster took one careful step forward. The leader of the infiltrators remained unnaturally still, his false proximan features continuing to shift subtly, revealing glimpses of something altogether alien beneath. "Last warning," Foster stated, her weapon's targeting system locked on the leader's center mass. "Step away from the interface." The leader's lips curved into what might have been a smile on a human face. "You misunderstand your position, Commander. We are not here to fight you." He gestured to the massive data cores surrounding them. "We are here to save you. All of you." From Foster's comms unit, Captain Chen's voice came through clearly. "Commander, we're detecting unusual energy fluctuations throughout the station. Something's happening in the council chamber." Before Foster could respond, the archive's main display activated of its own accord. Images flickered across the screen. Star charts, military deployments, defense grids, moving too quickly for human eyes to process. The infiltrators turned toward it in evident surprise. "This isn't us," one of them said, hands moving away from the controls. "The system is accessing itself." In the council chamber, the same phenomenon was occurring. Every screen and holographic display simultaneously activated, showing fragmented data from across the archives. Delegates backed away in confusion and alarm as ancient records, some not accessed for millennia, suddenly projected throughout the room. Arbiter Xolan's form pulsed with patterns of deep distress. The archives have never behaved this way. They're passive repositories, not autonomous systems. Ambassador Lilith moved to the central podium, her four arms working in concert to access emergency protocols. "Something is scanning the entire database. It's as if." She paused, her eyes widening, as if the archives themselves are searching for something. On the bridge of the Defiance, Chen watched feeds from both the council chamber and his tactical team in the archives. "Lieutenant Rivera, what are we looking at?" Rivera's fingers flew across her console. "It appears to be some kind of dormant protocol within the archive system." "Sir, the attacker's attempted data breach must have triggered it." In the archive chamber, the leader of the infiltrators suddenly laughed, a sound that seemed to contain too many voices at once. "So it's true," he said, turning to Foster. "The Watchers left safeguards." "The Watchers?" Foster kept her weapon trained on him, even as her attention was drawn to the increasingly chaotic data displays. "Explain. Now." Before your kind had mastered fire, the leader said, his multitonal voice resonating oddly in the chamber. Before even the oldest council species had achieved spaceflight, the Watchers patrolled this galaxy. They fought the Void Striders in the First Extinction War. They created the archives to warn future civilizations. One of Foster's teams spoke up. "Sir, these Watchers aren't in any Earth sinological database." "Because the Council buried the knowledge," the leader replied. They feared mass panic if the truth were known. The Void Striders weren't defeated, merely forced into dormancy. And now they're awakening. Throughout the station, the data displays converged on a single image. A massive dark shape moving against the backdrop of intergalactic space. The image was grainy, captured from enormous distance, but its scale was undeniable. A construct or entity larger than most solar systems. In the council chamber, Councillor Tizeric collapsed into his seat, all 6 eyes wide with recognition. "The ancient terror," he whispered. "It was not just legend." Captain Chen studied the image with growing concern. "That thing is heading toward our galaxy." "Not heading toward," the infiltrator leader corrected as Foster's team escorted him and his companions toward the council chamber. "Returning to. And the archives have just confirmed our worst fears." As they entered the council chamber under guard, the infiltrator leader's appearance had now completely transformed. Gone was the proximan disguise, replaced by a being with translucent skin that revealed complex internal structures unlike any known biology. "I am Observer Ketrel," he announced to the stunned council. "Last surviving member of the Watcher Embassy to the Forgotten Worlds, we have monitored your development for millennia, waiting for the technologies needed to face the coming storm." He turned toward Chen, who had joined them via holographic projection from the Defiance. "We needed to know if humanity possessed the necessary attributes. Your response today, defending those who feared you rather than exploiting their vulnerability, was the final test." Arbiter Xolan's form pulsed with patterns of outrage. "You attacked the council station and endangered countless lives as a test. We arranged a scenario that threatened data, not lives," Ketrel responded. "Had the humans responded with aggression rather than defensive action, we would have known they were not ready." The enormous U-screen now showed real-time telemetry of the distant shape, moving inexorably closer with each passing second. Its details remained obscured, but its presence weighed on everyone in the chamber like a physical force. "Ready for what?" Chen asked, his voice cutting through the chamber's growing chaos. Ketrel turned to face the human captain directly. "To inherit the Watcher's final weapon. The only defense against the Void Striders." He gestured toward the Defiance, still visible through the station's observation ports. "A weapon your people have unknowingly been preparing to wield since you first discovered the quantum principles necessary for your ship's shields." The council chamber descended into uproar as delegates argued and demanded explanations. Captain Chen studied Observer Ketrel with measured caution, decades of military experience warning him to look beyond the immediate crisis. "Let me understand," Chen said, his holographic form stepping forward. "You claim this ancient threat is returning, and Earth somehow possesses technology compatible with a weapon created by these Watchers." Ketrel's translucent skin pulsed with internal light. "Not compatible, Captain. Derived from. The quantum principles your scientists discovered were actually engineered into your planet's background radiation. We have been guiding human development for centuries." At this revelation, Commander Foster stepped closer to Chen's hologram, her hand instinctively resting on her weapon. "You've been manipulating our species. Protecting your potential," Ketrel corrected. "The Void Striders consumed civilizations. They are drawn to technological advancement like predators to light. Humanity had to develop in a specific sequence to avoid their notice until ready." Arbiter Xolan's form pulsed with patterns of historical recognition. "The forgotten resolution," the ancient diplomat said. 15,000 cycles ago, the early council voted to quarantine certain promising worlds, including Earth. We believed it was to prevent cultural contamination, but it was to shield them from detection, Ketrel confirmed. "The Watchers counseled your ancestors to hide humanity until the final protocol could be implemented." Throughout the exchange, Lieutenant Rivera had been analyzing the data streaming from the archives to the Defiance. "Captain," she called urgently through the communication link, "I've identified references to a quantum resonance network embedded in the Defiance's shield architecture. It's something our engineers integrated without understanding its true purpose." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting our most advanced defensive technology was planted in our research?" "Not planted," Ketrel said. "Awakened. The potential was always within humanity's grasp. We merely ensured you would reach for it." The massive view screen suddenly flickered, the distant shape of the Void Strider growing clearer as the archives enhanced the image. Its structure defied conventional physics, a lattice of darkness that seemed to bend light around it, consuming stars as it moved. "It will reach the outer systems within 2 decades, Ketrel stated flatly, "unless the final protocol is activated." Chen turned to Ambassador Lilith. "What does your council know of this protocol?" Lilith's 4 arms moved in patterns of uncertainty. "Nothing in our modern records mentions it. The Watchers have been considered myth for thousands of years." "Because we chose to be forgotten," Ketrel said. "After the first extinction war, most of my kind retreated to the intergalactic void to monitor the Striders. I remained as observer, hidden among your civilizations, watching for the emergence of the final vessel." He looked directly at the Defiance visible through the viewports. "Your ship, Captain Chen. A tense silence fell across the chamber. Chen exchanged glances with Foster before addressing Ketrel again. What exactly does this protocol require? The Defiance must be reconfigured to generate a quantum barrier spanning 1/8 of the galaxy. The barrier will sever the Void Striders' connection to their collective consciousness, rendering them vulnerable to conventional weapons. 1/8 of the galaxy. Chen repeated incredulously. That's impossible. Our shields can protect a station, not billions of star systems. Impossible with your current understanding, Ketrel acknowledged. But the full schematics are encoded in your ship's quantum matrix, accessible only when properly activated. Chen's decision came without hesitation. Lieutenant Rivera, begin analysis of this theoretical matrix. Commander Foster, maintain security in the archives. He turned to Arbiter Xolan. With your permission, I suggest forming a joint human council team to verify Observer Ketrel's claims. Before Xolan could respond, the station's proximity alarms blared. Lieutenant Rivera's voice came through with urgent clarity. Captain, we're detecting quantum distortions at the edge of the system. Something's coming through, and it's massive. The view screen shifted to show a tear in space itself, a wound in reality from which emerged a crystalline structure of impossible dimensions. Unlike the distant Void Strider, this new arrival shimmered with prismatic light. A Watcher arc, Ketrel breathed, genuine surprise in his multi-tonal voice. They said none remained. The crystalline structure transmitted a signal that bypassed all conventional communication systems, manifesting directly in the minds of everyone present. It carried not words but pure conceptual understanding. The final protocol has begun. The chosen vessel is confirmed. Convergence is imminent. Chen felt something change within the Defiance's systems, dormant technologies awakening, reconfiguring according to designs beyond human engineering. He watched in astonishment as his ship's golden shield energy transformed, becoming a lattice of light that perfectly mirrored the Watcher Arc's crystalline structure. Captain, Rivera reported, awe evident in her voice. The ship is evolving. In that moment, as the Council watched humanity's unexpected ascension to Guardians of the Galaxy, Ketrel smiled, revealing a final, terrible truth that nobody had yet grasped. Observer Ketrel's smile deepened, revealing teeth too perfect, too symmetrical for any evolved species. The convergence has begun, he announced, his voice carrying an unsettling note of satisfaction. But there is one truth I have withheld. Chen's holographic form flickered as the Defiance underwent its transformation. What truth? He demanded, suddenly aware of the growing unease spreading through the council chamber. The Watchers did not merely retreat after the first extinction war, Ketrel said, his translucent skin now glowing with internal light. They were divided. Some believed the younger races should be guided. Others believed they should be harvested, their potential used to fuel the final weapon. Before anyone could react, Ambassador Lilith stepped forward, her four arms moving in ancient patterns that none present had seen for millennia. Patterns of power, not diplomacy. Enough, Ketrel, she said, her voice resonating with unexpected authority. You were not the only observer left behind. Ketrel's expression shifted from triumph to shock. Impossible. The luminous Concordat was disbanded. Disbanded, not destroyed, Lilith replied. Her form began to shimmer, the Proximan appearance giving way to a beam of pure crystalline light similar to the arc that had appeared. We anticipated your faction would attempt to subvert the protocol. Throughout the council chamber, delegates backed away as the two ancient beings revealed their true natures. Captain Chen, watching from the Defiance, made a split-second decision that would alter the course of galactic history. Lieutenant Rivera, transfer complete control of the ship's systems to my command. Override all automatic processes. Rivera worked frantically at her console. Sir, the transformation is accelerating. Whatever's happening, it's rewriting our core programming. On the council station, Commander Foster positioned her team between the delegates and the two revealed Watchers. Captain, awaiting instructions. Ketrel turned toward the massive view screen showing the approaching arc. It is too late, human. The Harvester Protocol has been initiated. Your species' potential will serve the greater good, fueling the weapon that will destroy the Void Striders once and for all. At the cost of humanity, Lilith added grimly. That is what he has not told you, Captain Chen. The final protocol will consume your species' quantum potential, every human life, extinguished to power the barrier. Chen's expression hardened. Not acceptable. With deliberate calm, he opened a direct channel to Earth Command. This is Captain Chen invoking Emergency Protocol Omega. Authorization Chen 7 Delta 9. Transmitting complete data package now. In the chamber, Ketrel lunged toward Lilith, his form dissolving into tendrils of dark energy. You cannot stop what has been set in motion. Lilith met his attack with equal force, prismatic light colliding with darkness. Humanity was never meant to be sacrificed, Ketrel. The luminous concordat protected them for ascension, not consumption. As the ancient beings battled, the Defiance completed its transformation. Its hull now resembled a lattice of golden light, pulsing with energy beyond human comprehension. Yet within, Chen and his crew remained in control, the ship responding to human commands despite its metamorphosis. Sir, Rivera reported, I've isolated the Harvester Protocol within our systems. It's attempting to establish a link with every human mind simultaneously. And the alternative? Chen asked. The original Watcher design. What Lilith's faction intended. It would create the barrier without consuming humanity. But she hesitated. It requires a willing sacrifice, a single consciousness to guide the energy. Chen nodded once, decision made. Transfer complete control to my neural interface. Activate the luminous protocol. The Defiance surged with blinding light as the ship's systems integrated with Chen's consciousness. In the council chamber, the battle between Ketrel and Lilith paused as both ancient beings sensed the shift in energy. What have you done? Ketrel hissed. Through the ship's communication systems, Chen's voice echoed with newfound power. Chosen a third option. One mind freely given instead of billions taken. The Defiance pulsed once more, then released an expanding wave of golden energy that engulfed the station, the attacking vessels, and rapidly spread outward across the star system. Within that energy, the council members sensed not destruction but protection, a shield generated from understanding rather than fear. As the wave expanded toward the stars, Captain Chen's consciousness expanded with it, becoming one with the barrier that would protect not just humanity, but all the galaxy's younger races. In the council chamber, delegates watched in awe as the Defiance ascended beyond the station, its form now more light than matter. Ketrel's darkness dissolved against the tide of golden energy, while Lilith's crystalline form resonated in harmony with it. The third protocol, Lilith whispered, we never imagined. Commander Foster stood at attention, watching her captain's transformation with pride and sorrow. Humanity will remember, she promised softly. And throughout the galaxy, as the quantum barrier spread to defend countless worlds against the approaching darkness, the legend began of how the humans came to the Galactic Council in peace, but when threatened, revealed themselves to be the guardians no one expected, and no enemy would ever forget.